what I found is that the first time somebody succeeds in this business at a pretty high level, we find out whether or not they're a dick. Okay.
Yes.
It's that's the point where now they can stop pretending and their true personality emerges because they think now they're at the top. And what they don't understand about this business is that it's cyclical. And at some point, whoever you are, you will come down. And often what I found is that if you're a dick to people, when you finally get that success, it will follow you the rest of your entire career.
Welcome to Indie Chat episode 5. Today we're talking with Bobby Del Rio. Really excited to bring this one to you. Bobby's an awesome guy. He's been on a number of pretty big TV shows. He hosts his own talk show out in Canada. Just a really fun guy. Came from a playwriting background, and we had a long conversation about writing and just the state of the industry on whole. Bobby is one of my favorite people in the industry, so I'm really excited to share this talk with everyone. Also, after this, we're going on a brief hiatus here with the Indie Chat episodes. I'm working on a film out in Montana for the next couple months, so expect to see new episodes starting again in August. But in the meantime, we've got a bunch of back content for you to watch, and please consider giving us a like and a subscribe down below. It helps grow the channel, and you'll get notified as soon as new episodes are back. Thanks. Bye. Hey, Bobby.
Yo, yo, what's up?
Hey, how's your day treating you?
I'm good, dude. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. Is there any chance you can do horizontal instead of vertical?
I can. I think it's gonna be a bit shitty with the angle, but let's see.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
just gonna look better with
you
the
like
cut
that
in the
better?
end. Yeah,
Alright, that's fine.
awesome. Thanks for coming on today, man.
So hold on. I have this weird angle because I have to tilt just the way like things are set up here.
Yeah.
How's this?
Yeah, I think that's gonna look better just by virtue of we're gonna be on YouTube, so like the wide format's gonna just look better than the vertical.
No, no problem.
Awesome.
If you're happy, I'm happy.
Okay, cool. Real quick before we get into it, I'm on the shitty free Zoom, so at a certain point I'll just have to cut us and then we can wrap up.
Whatever
I'll
you
send a
want.
second link.
Yeah, okay. So you have the 40-minute kind of limit thing?
Yeah, I've got the 40-minute limit, but I've kind of just been doing the talk until that hits, and then I have a second link I'll just send you as soon as that hits, and then we can just do wrap
Are
up
you
from
gonna
there.
edit it all or?
Yeah.
Okay. So how long do you anticipate the final thing being?
I've been
Ever?
getting them to around like 40-ish minutes, but I'm kind of just editing them to taste based off of how the conversation goes. So like if it makes sense for it to be shorter, it's shorter. I'm trying to like minimum get them over 20. But again, if you have a hard out today, just let me know and we'll
No, I mean I do, but my heart out is like in 90 minutes and it'll be over by then.
Oh, yeah, we should be more than done by then.
So in terms of eyeline, is that good or you don't
Yeah.
really care?
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
look towards camera because for when you're
Yeah.
talking, I'll just go to your face full
Yeah.
and yeah.
That's okay. I'm on an iPhone, so I'm like looking into the little dot.
Perfect.
Awesome. Okay, I'm good. And you can ask me anything, dude. I have no secrets.
All right, great.
Yeah, I probably should, but I just don't. I don't care. Yeah.
That's fair. All right. Well,
So
Bobby,
when you
thank you.
so right now it says iPhone 108. Do you need me to change the name?
It would be cool if it said even just Bobby on it, if that's doable, but don't worry if it's not.
Yeah. How do I do that? Do you know?
I actually have no idea, so just don't worry about it. It can just say what iPhone 108.
All right. It's my new name.
Yeah, your iPhone 108.
Good, as I should be.
There you go. All right, I'll launch into it, and then we can just go from there.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on today, Bobby. So great to have you on the show. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're super busy right now. How are you doing right now?
I'm good. I mean, it's pretty crazy, man. So I just got offered another television series yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. So it's gonna be my fourth TV series in 4 years.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's especially right now. That's so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very fortunate. But I've also been working hard and I've built my brand over social. So it's just a lot comes my way all the time, to be honest.
I feel like you're one of the hardest working actor producer combos that I know out there right now. You're always putting yourself out there in a really positive way. And I've
Man.
seen like over the past few years, it feels like you're getting more and more opportunities as you've just really built your network.
Yeah, I mean, it appears so. It's funny because I don't really, I don't feel like I'm doing anything because this is what I do. It's like, so, like, I just came back from the gym. I haven't missed a workout in 10 years.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, like, I haven't missed one workout in 10 years. So for me, it's like, I'm just such a regimented, disciplined person that I don't like go to the gym and then, you know, buy myself a reward because it's not like, to me, that's not like something special. That's what I do. So I don't know. I kind of just have been doing the same thing. I just work hard and then things happen.
I feel like the people that make it the furthest in this industry, especially, it's very much you do the work every day and it starts paying off over the long term. Like you don't really see the fast benefits the same way with this type of thing.
I think that's right. I mean, what people don't know, because I'm half Chinese, so I look like I'm 11. Um, but I'm 47 years old and I'm 30 years in the business.
Yeah.
So, if you keep pushing, pushing, pushing for 3 decades, things happen. They better. You're in the wrong business.
At a certain point, you do have to ask yourself that question.
Oh yeah. So, but yeah, it's definitely a tough time in the business. So I've also been fortunate. Luck is part of it. But I don't know. I try and look, I operate from a place of integrity. I've turned down jobs and relationships with very rich and successful people if our values don't align, and I just don't care, right? Like I have a great career, but ultimately my soul comes first, and I think that resonates with people.
I think that's such a healthy attitude to have too. A lot of people, myself included, sometimes a job comes along and it's just you feel like you have to take it because you just really need the cash. It's such a you don't have a steady income with this type of work. And like sometimes you do really have to ask yourself that hard question of like, is this really going to help me in the long run if it's something that's so counter to like what I want to be, what I want to do, who I care about? And like I've definitely had that situation happen before. It's like, well, this would pay my rent for a few months, but like I also utterly hate everything about it, so I kind of have to say no.
Right.
And like you have to make that call sometimes.
I just don't care. I mean, I probably should, but I just don't. And look, I'm in a fortunate position. I get offered stuff all the time. And again, you're interviewing me, so it is what it is. But I mean, I was offered another television series a week ago and I turned it down, right? So I'm in a position where I'm offered a lot of work all the time, and I don't need to work with people who I don't want to work with. And if it costs me some money or an opportunity, cool. But what I've experienced over 3 decades, hundreds of productions that I've done, if you know that for whatever reason, whoever the person is, it doesn't fit. You just don't. You could. They may not even be a bad person, but you just
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't work, right? I'm not. I will not put myself in that position because it always turns out badly.
I've definitely put myself in that position and learned the hard way. It doesn't have anything to do with good people, bad people. Sometimes it's just if it's the wrong person involved in the project at some level, especially if it's at the higher levels of how it's coming together, it's just going to go really badly. And sometimes it'll even be a great experience making the thing, but the final product that comes out, you're just going to be like, I spent months working on this thing, and what was the point?
And you see it in the work. I mean, I think like it's interesting, like sometimes projects that they really have no business succeeding in the marketplace. They do, and it's because the team loves each other. And there's something, especially like you're a production designer, but I know you've done a lot of stuff, directing, producing, all kinds of stuff, right? And like you know what it feels like when everybody's on the same page. And for me, the audience picks it up, even if it's not like obvious. It's like it is because I believe energy is a thing.
Oh, absolutely. When you're creating something, if you're not meshing, your energy isn't quite there. It comes out in that final thing and it just feels off in some way that's kind of unquantifiable and yet it's quantifiable because it just doesn't work.
Right, but it's true though, right? You don't really know like how to define it,
Yeah,
but people just know. They're
it's
like,
really hard thing to define, but
"Mm,
it's just when you see it, it's there and it really comes down to, especially if you're like at the level you're producing something, getting all the people that just innately understand what the project is. I feel like that's the real key to something working or not.
oh yeah." It's interesting. Like, I'm just old enough. I'm sure you are as well. That I've done all these different projects, and some have like sequels or multiple seasons, or you know what I mean. It's like this. It's like a part two, part three, season three, season four, whatever. All these things. And sometimes what's interesting is that the same people who found magic in one of the seasons or one of the movies, play, whatever it is, the second time, or even a remount of the same production. This has happened to me, where people's egos have been so inflated, or something happened, people disagreed between one production and another, one season and another, one movie and another, and the same people who found magic the first time do not find it the second time, and it's because the people don't get along the way they did the first time.
Something happened with a few of the people off camera in their personal lives, and things have just changed, and that money magic
Yep.
and that magic just isn't quite there the same way anymore. It's
Oh,
definitely a thing.
it's funny because I've just been in this business so long, and what I track, I don't know what you track, but sometimes I wait for the first time somebody really succeeds in our business. Whether it's you win an award, you get into a big festival, you get a huge whatever it is. There's many different
Oh yeah,
metrics,
there's all
barometers of
it's hard
success.
to quantify what like successful is, but like there's barometers.
But sometimes you can tell, right? It's like, oh, my
Yeah.
son is all in the newspapers, wherever it is, right? And what I found is that the first time somebody succeeds in this business at a pretty high level, we find out whether or not they're a dick. Okay, it's
Yes.
because it's that's the point where now they can stop pretending and their true personality emerges because they think now they're at the top. And what they don't understand about this business is that it's cyclical. And at some point, whoever you are, you will come down. And often what I found is that if you're a dick to people, when you finally get that success, it will follow you the rest of your entire career.
100%. It doesn't matter how much you try to fix yourself after the fact. Everyone remembers that first time you hit your pinnacle, and
That's
when
right.
that wheel grinds you back down into the dirt when you're coming back down,
Yeah.
the people that help you back up are the ones you weren't a dick to.
And unfortunately, look, it's anecdotal, but I would
Yeah.
say 90 to 95% of people who get that, because it's not everybody gets that opportunity, but when they do, the overwhelming majority of people are dicks.
Yeah, and I will actually addendum this again, anecdotal, but I'll addendum on that. I feel like one of the things that really matters too is how old were you when you first got success,
Yeah.
and how hard did you have to work to get there? Because if
Mm.
you were young, or if it happened fast, you end up being way bigger dick than if you had to work to get there. Because if you had to work to get there, you saw other people succeed and you saw them fall on your way up, and so you kind of learned lessons from that.
That's right. So for me, my big social media rise happened at age 43 when I, broke into Hollywood. And then that's when I've been getting all these television series, all this stuff. 96 episodes of TV I've started now in three
which is
years. Okay.
really impressive.
Yeah, during a typical time in our business. So it's not lost on me. But if I was 23 and not 43 when all that Clubhouse stuff happened, I was the most interviewed person in the world out of 10 million users. Uh, I don't know what I would have done, but I was very like when it happened a few years ago. I was very calm, normal. To be honest, it didn't really change anything about me because, as you say, I've been grinding for so long, and I've gone up and down in different levels in Canada that it was just like, okay, cool, here's the new thing. But if it was 23 and I had just started my career, I don't know what the hell I would have done. It's just like going to the strip club or like throwing temper tantrums on social media or taking mirror selfies with my shirt off and be like, yeah, bro.
All of the cliches.
Yeah. So
Uh,
no, you're right. Age is part of it. It's not. I mean, I have definitely seen some younger people who handle it well, but it's
yes.
it's rare. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's rare. And like when you see a young person really get successful in the industry and they're like really nice about it, you know you found someone like really special because
Oh,
that means they're going to have a very long, very good career because they already understand what matters more than the wealth and the fame is really the connections you're making and keeping.
I met Scarlett Johansson at the Magic Castle on her birthday in 2023.
That's awesome. I
I
did
mean,
a
first of
job in the
all,
Magic Castle once, actually.
oh, cool. Look, Scarlett Johansson. First of all, I mean, so beautiful, but her energy is amazing. But she is just like so grounded,
Yeah.
positive, professional, kind. It's just like no wonder she's had the career that she's had, right? Is that she just she's confident, but there's no ego. It's just that's the energy that makes you want to work with people.
I worked recently with Milo Ventimiglia,
Oh
and
yeah,
I'm probably mispronouncing his last name. I feel terrible. Uh,
brilliant actor,
he,
brilliant.
brilliant actor, but the thing that really impressed me is how professional and kind he is on set. He
Mm,
really goes out of his way to learn everyone's names, get to know everyone. There were a few times he went out of his way with various crew members to like just help them out in little ways that meant nothing but meant everything.
right.
Like I was the art director, but I was like sweeping a carpet to set something up, and he was like really nice. He came over like, let's find a way you don't have to sweep that between takes. And it was one
Wow,
of those
really?
things I didn't care, but the
Wow.
fact that he went out of his way to do that meant a lot because like people don't
Mm,
really think about the crew when they're on set. And so I feel like that's one of those things too when like people that are really professional, they give as much respect to any random crew member. He had no idea who I was.
right.
That means a lot because that means you're thinking about the collaboration of the whole team as opposed to it just being about you doing really well on camera.
Oh yeah, and now you're talking about him in an interview because he was so nice. And look, he's had
Exactly.
a very long career,
Very
very
long.
successful, and it's not an accident, man. It's the people who dude, 3 decades I've been in this business. And the quality people never stop working, ever. They never, ever stop working. Unfortunately, it's because they're rare.
Yeah, it's absolutely a thing. I would actually love to hear a little bit about your first entry into the business. I know you started kind of more on the theater side and then worked your way into doing film. If you have any like stories about those early days, I'm really trying to use this channel to share a lot of how people first get in and how that helps get them where they are because I feel like that's what no one talks about anymore.
Sure. I guess this is 30 years ago. I guess my first, look, I was acting since I was a child. Okay. So ever since I was 6 or 8 or whatever it is, I was, 40 years of just performing. Now, the first time I got paid, I was 16 years old, and I was touring camps and libraries in Toronto, playing Cinderella. So, I was like the star of a, sort of like local Toronto theater touring production. But I mean, you learned so much. It was kind of like a student summer job program. But even though, look, I wasn't, on Broadway or anything. But I was paid. Like I paid my bills that summer as a lead in a theater production all summer, and then they asked me back the second summer as well. And that kind of experience is. priceless, right? And
Yeah.
so my roots are in the theater. I ended up going to theater school, so I'm a trained Shakespearean actor. And I also started writing plays in university. So I was the inaugural recipient of the Robertson Davies Playwriting Award from the University of Toronto, which is one of the most prestigious universities in Canada. So I don't know, like the Harvard or Yale of Canada, something like that. So I was the first person to win a playwriting award they have like this sort of like inter university theater festival, and while I was a student in theater school, I was writing plays on the side, and I won an award, and then I remounted it, and it became one of the hits of Toronto theater. And I was 22 years old, and that's kind of how everything started.
Yeah, I know when I first met you and we were talking and I looked into you, uh, your early play work really seemed like that was kind of what started everything for you. And that was
Yeah,
like a really big deal.
yeah, it's everything. I mean, look, I guess I'm sort of old school, but I just think if you're going to be a performer, even a writer, to be honest, um, I think it's really hard to be an effective screenwriter if you don't have a playwriting background. You can do it, but the thing about playwrights is that we are trained to write for actors, and many of us are actors. And what I have found in the screenwriting world, there's some very brilliant writers who do not understand that the script is a blueprint to be performed by actors. So it kind of doesn't matter how well you write and how clever it is and all these things. If it doesn't live and breathe in the mouths of actors, it doesn't work. It's a blueprint to be performed by people. This is our entire business. And in theater, that's all we have, right? It's just people talking and emoting. But in a way, screenwriting is the same. Now, you add obviously the contributions of the crew and the technicians. It's the most brilliant artists in the world all working together. But if you don't have a world that is inhabited by human beings that bring it to life, that's what the audience connects to. And for me, that is all rooted in theater.
So, do you feel that with playwriting, there's a lot more of a focus on character over, let's say, maybe plot over character? And with screenwriting, a lot of screenwriters kind of focus too much on the plot and not enough on the characters.
I think that many screenwriters focus on visuals, and even some people will write in shots, or like I think that screenwriter is almost a different skill. I almost view screenwriters as being similar to novelists. They're very good at creating images. They're very good at describing things. They're very good at setting things up in a visual way, which is definitely part of the form.
Sure.
But the reality is, this is a medium that is performed by actors, and that's what connects them to an audience. So that's why you have very brilliant visual storytelling that doesn't connect with an audience, because it looks cool, but it's not saying anything. And then there's no food for the actors to eat. And ultimately, I believe that's what the audience is looking for. They're looking to connect to other human beings through the storytelling process. And for me, that's all rooted in theater.
That makes a lot of sense actually, because that's definitely a complaint I've had with a lot of, let's say, modern scripts that come across my desk because I get a lot of scripts that don't end up going anywhere coming across my desk.
Mhm.
And I feel like 9 times out of 10, there'll be a couple of cool scenes, the plot kind of works, but the characters just are utterly flat and dead. And
Mhm.
I feel like there's a lot of expectation on really, it's almost up to the actor to make the character work more than making the character work on the page, and then the actor gets to have fun with it.
Yep.
And that's interesting. I never really thought about the difference because, like, I do think of them as separate forms, playwriting and script writing,
Sure.
but I never really thought about it as like, yeah, you really do have to focus pretty much exclusively on performance with playwriting, and that would be a more, I don't know if pure is the right term, but like it's closer to that idea of it's really actors first.
It's a big advantage. I mean, it's also like I am an actor, so I know that what an actor looks for when they sign on to do the movie. I mean, look, if you have enough money, they'll probably just do it anyway. But
Yeah.
any actor worth their salt is looking for a good role.
Oh, 100%. And there are some really big actors that will do it for almost nothing if it's a good enough role that they think is really going to stand out. But you also can't expect that. That's like one in a million.
Yeah, but to be honest, I've always had very good luck getting really, really good seasoned established actors committed to my projects because as a playwright, it's all about the character arc, the role, the sort of architecture of the scenes. Like it's everything about in the world of playwriting is about performance. How do we maximize this playground for the actor? And when you bring that to screenwriting, so many actors are refreshed by that. And I've never met like a senior actor in our business that didn't want a real role. I've never met them.
That
So
totally makes
yeah.
sense.
Mm,
The other thing that I feel like is a problem right now is actually the thing you were talking about, the script writer is really focusing on visuals and shots more than anything else. I agree that's kind of like becoming a little bit of a problem at the moment. When I was first taught how to screenwrite, the number one thing I was told was never put the visuals and the shots in your script because that's a bad idea. And I mean, I because I came up as a production designer, I always look at a script from that eye first. Even
sure.
like if I'm directing, producing, whatever, that's the first look I have. And there's so many writers that just don't understand the concept of this sentence sounds really cool, but by putting this sentence in, you've just added $500,000 to your budget.
Right.
And
Right.
like it's a big problem that like writers, the ones that get it really get it, but I feel like they over focus on budget, and the ones that don't get it don't worry at all, and then there'll be like huge holes in the script that like you have to figure out how to fix in pre-production.
Yeah, look, I mean this is just experience too. I mean, I've been
Yeah.
writing plays for 3 decades, so I can write anything. I can write, two I mean, I've written hit plays and published them. It's two characters in a room talking for 90 minutes, right?
If
So
you do it well, that can be riveting.
yeah, now I think it's a little more visually dynamic if you got maybe more than one room and more than two actors. But
Yeah.
the
It's
thing
kind
is,
of hard to do that one room thing on film and it not come out really boring. Like everyone always tries to figure it out at least once in their career. And like it can be cool, but it's really hard not to make that boring at a certain point with an hour and a half movie.
yeah, unless you're a skilled playwright. I mean, you
Yeah.
think of something like Frost Nixon,
Yeah.
Oleana. I mean, there's certain two-handers that are iconic. Now, look, I think that more than two actors is ideal, but that's the foundation, right? And if you can create, a taut drama with an arc that pays everything off, you've got your themes and amazing roles for two actors in a room that you can do for almost nothing, that to me is the foundation to write to budget. And then for me, it's like, okay, how many locations can you afford? How many actors can you afford? Like it's a conversation. And then now I've experienced as a director and producer, all these things, right? But the number one thing I think that you have to do as a writer working in film is work with your team.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. Surrounding yourself with people that fill in the knowledge gaps that you have and
Mhm.
being really honest with yourself about what knowledge gaps you have.
Right,
That's that thing, especially if you're not in that like major studio $100 million feature space where you can kind of just toss money at a problem until it works and then it still doesn't really work. Like when
right.
you're in that like, under $5 million range, you really need smart people that understand how to problem solve. And like more than anything else, problem solving is just always going to be the name of the game to make something work.
Well, look, what I found, I used to literally write these plays of two characters in a room and then get 4-star reviews in all the newspapers, right? Like that's how I started my career. But what now? No, I work in Hollywood, I work around the world and television, all these things, right? But what I found is, to be honest, it's the same thing. Like it's the same skill. It's just you have better technicians and artists and teams with you, but ultimately it's the same thing. It's like it's a small team of people who are here to like maximize, the impact of the storytelling, and then money enhances the story. Money should never replace the artistic problems of the project. Should just enhance your options.
I like that a lot. I've I've made that argument to more few producers over the years, and the ones that get it really get it, and the ones that don't, it kind of just goes over the head. And
I feel like we're kind of seeing this divide at the moment where I've been seeing a lot of producers that don't get that kind of not working anymore. And a lot of the producers that were kind of just holding on by their fingernails are essentially disappearing right now because you really have to know your craft to survive in today's film market. Like there is not that much happening, and the few projects that are happening are generally overseas, and it's resulting in this like weird moment of a lot of very low budget indie projects are happening. And it's kind of exciting as much as it's terrifying because if you can get in on them, some of them are really fun because they're making stuff that never would have been made 10 years ago.
But ultimately, I really do think the rudiments of storytelling are quite simple. I went for breakfast with Terrence Winter um, in 2023 as well, and it was great. Like Terry bought me breakfast, and I had interviewed him on my TV series Daily Drop. We got along really well, so he invited me to breakfast. We had a mate. I mean, what an amazing opportunity, right?
Yeah.
And Terry Winter, I mean, he was Sopranos writing room, and he created Boardwalk Empire, he wrote Wolf of Wall Street, like all these things, right?
Yeah,
And
brilliant writer.
we're just getting along really well. He's a great, great guy. But it's interesting because we were talking about writing, which, makes sense. And he kept referencing the Sopranos writing room. And what he said was there were two words that David Chase had written on, it was like a poster or something for the writing room. And that was the foundation of what they did for The Sopranos, which is one of the greatest television series ever, maybe the best ever. I don't know, it's up there, right? And it was very simple, but it made me realize like this is why this man Terry Winter is such a brilliant writer. But he's so simple. He's like the two words that were written: be entertaining. And it's just like what? Like you take this amazing series, this iconic with some of the best television writers all in the same room at the same time. And what is the foundation of what they were doing? Be entertaining, right? But what does
Yeah.
it tell you? They're always thinking about the audience. Powerful.
Yeah. That's actually really powerful. And I would say more writers today could stand to think about the audience more. I've been struggling with a lot of new shows coming out right now. I feel like we're in this really odd moment with the television medium, especially. Like I feel
Mm-hmm.
like film's going an interesting place, but I feel like television's almost regressing, and they're forgetting a lot of the lessons of not even that long ago of actually have payoff, actually be entertaining. Think about what your audience actually wants to see. Like the number of times in the last few years, and I'm not going to name shows, but the number of times that I've watched a show and it ends up being like a 6 episode arc that a few years ago would have been like the opening of season one instead of a whole season. And it has no real payoff. The entire point of those 6 episodes was just to set up season two. And then maybe you get a season two, maybe you don't, but it kind of begs that question of what was the point of watching 6 episodes of this show when there's no real point except a setup? And I actually would love to see more people just be entertaining again.
Craft is craft, man. Like it's all about thinking about the audience. I always say so. Um, Again, theater references. Edward Albee, right? I don't know if Edward Albee, one of the greatest playwrights ever. He passed away a few years ago. So I heard Edward Albee speak when he was alive. So he spoke in Toronto, and I went to this lecture. It was like $20 to hear like a legend speak. I was a playwright, so I was like, oh my god. And somebody asked him, how long should a play be? Right? People are always like obsessed with how, what can I do? What am I allowed to do? The rules, all these things, right? And you've literally, at the time, I think the greatest living dramatist on the entire planet speaking. It was an amazing opportunity. And someone said, how long should a play be? And he goes, well, a play can be 2 lines long if it's a 2 line play. And it was so simple, but I never forgot that, right? Because it's this idea that you can make anything work, but you have to know what it is, right? It's all about the storytelling and connecting to the audience, and that's craft. A good show. I don't know. Have you seen The Pit on Max?
You know, I haven't watched it yet. It's on my like I need to sit down with this and
Incredible.
actually pay attention list.
It's incredible. It's one of the best shows I've seen in years. I binged 15 episodes in like 3 days.
Wow.
That works, man. That is craft. And on Threads, I just had so the pit is all about, the emergency wing or whatever it is in the hospital and all the things that happened. But there was a retired nurse who was like, "That's exactly right." And on Threads, she was just like, "It's so powerful." And uh, I don't know what they did, but it lands. And I don't even like hospital procedurals, but that is not that. That is crap. That is a whole other level of storytelling where some scenes you're crying, some scenes you're laughing, you're so riveted, and it doesn't even feel like it's acting. It doesn't feel like it's like fictional. Like it just feels like this is what it is. You're so immersed in the storytelling,
Yeah,
and
it
that's
just
that's
transcends
crap.
time at a certain point.
That's right.
That's the thing. Like, to me, that whole concept of, like, procedural, all of that, if it's really well written, kind of doesn't almost matter what a story is about, because truly great writing just captivates people. Like, think about Game of Thrones and the sensation that was.
Mm,
90% of the people watching Game of Thrones normally would have never watched a fantasy epic with 30 million characters going
right.
all over the place. It was just that well written for the first few seasons that it just captivated people. And I really think just focusing on the fundamentals and just bringing in just good story doesn't really matter what your story's about at a certain point, as long as it's good enough and it captures an audience.
Yeah, I mean, that's always what I've done. I just always think about the audience. It's like I've always said it's the audience that tells you if your story's any good. Like even like Margaret Atwood is a very famous Canadian novelist, right? And she whatever like her book Cat's Eye, very famous Canadian novel, one of the most famous, and that was um, just something that I read and loved. And then Handmaiden's Tale is based on one of her books and other things, right? So she's just like an iconic figure. But I remember reading a Margaret Atwood quote. It was so simple. Again, it's so funny. Like these master writers, some of the best writers ever. And she was like, it's not the writer who decides whether or not the work is good. Instead, it's the reader.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's the same thing, It's like Terrence Winter, master screenwriter, Margaret Atwood, master novelist, Edward Albee, master playwright, and they're all so simple in their approach. It's like they're really just thinking, how do I make this connect to the audience? It's the foundation of everything, but it's amazing, like how few writers think like that. That's what I've experienced.
Well, I think there's been that pollution of everyone uses the same idea without like actually thinking about what it means, of write for the audience of one, write something that you want to see out in the world. And
Mm,
that's step one. But it's also, you have to take a step beyond just what is it that you want to see out in the world, and also think like, if you are a random audience member getting a ticket to go watch this, are you going to be happy that you spent that money to watch it when you leave that movie theater, turn off your TV, whatever?
mm.
Would you have actually been satisfied with it? And like, it's part of that whole, broader thing of like, the more you satisfy your audience, the more your thing becomes worth the time they spent on it. And I feel like a lot of people, they get too obsessed with writing the thing they want to see in the world. They don't think about actually writing it so that it's going to satisfy the audience necessarily.
That's right. And what's interesting, so I also I became very popular on Clubhouse.
Yeah,
I'm very popular on Threads, as you know, and I just hit 7.7 million views of my content in 90 days.
congratulations.
Thank you. So I think I had a million views of my content this week alone. Million views, okay?
That's
And
really impressive.
it's wild, right? And I'm just typing things, right? But remember, I'm a playwright and I have all these years of experience. And what I did on Clubhouse, what I did on Threads is very simple. And it's like the same conversation. I'm connecting to the audience, right? It's not about me. I'm very aware that I'm telling these little stories that are sometimes one sentence long on Threads, sometimes two sentences, sometimes a paragraph, but I'm always thinking about the audience. For me, I'm writing a little play, right? I'm writing a little screenplay. But if it doesn't connect to the audience, I'm wrong. It's not about me. It's all about how do I communicate truth to them. And that's what I did on Clubhouse. Clubhouse was all audio, so I was just talking. but I was always aware I'm talking to human beings and communicating to them. And I think that's why I've been successful, right? Because I'm like a conduit, right? It's not about me. It's about what am I trying to say and how does that message land with other human beings? That's all I'm doing.
I really like that sentiment. I've felt very similarly for a long time about a lot of the work I do. And when you're working below the line like I came up, you have to really let go of your ego when it comes to everything you do
Mm.
because it is in no way about you. You're there to lend your technical expertise, take it as far as it needs to go, but every single action you do is there to serve the director, the producer, the script, and your personal opinion on it at a certain point does not matter at all. And you have to completely let go of it because you might destroy the project if you don't. And there's something really empowering about understanding that. And I feel like it's the real key to actually becoming successful in a creative market is understanding sometimes your ego has to be the last thing in the room. It needs to be in another state because if it gets involved, you might be destroying the thing that you're trying to make, and that's the problem.
I directed one feature film. I wrote and directed it. It's my best play, The Market. And, I got distribution, but it's always landed with an audience. My manager in LA says one of the best screenplays he's ever seen produced, 2 decades in the business. Okay. I made it for nothing. It was like $12,000. Okay. Um, but it was all about just communicating to the audience. Same thing, simple. And what I learned from that, and I say this all the time, I'm not like a directing guru or anything, but I have directed a few things, and it was all, I always think like this, and I always say directors don't make films, teams do, right? And so for me, I always thought, because I did interviews and all these things. Oh my God, your movie, I wrote it, I directed all these things, right? But I was always like, I'm the captain of a team. Like we made this. I didn't make this. Some directors will talk about my work and this and I just, to be honest, I want to vomit because I'm like, oh, it's your work with your 300 friends that you're not crediting, right? It's like our business has the best artists in the world, the best performers, the best writers, the best visual artists, the best musicians, like the best of everything working together. So when you say my work, you've just you've missed it. We work together. We are the most collaborative business in the entire world, and that's the way to think about it. That's how I think about it.
I really like that. So, I know you're working on a new project that you might be shooting in the not too distant future. Totally get if you can't share too much about it at this stage, but like what's coming up for you? I know you're doing a lot of TV right now. You're talking
Mhm.
about a new feature. What's
Mhm.
up for the future for you?
So yes, so I have a new television series that I start shooting in a month that we will launch, I think, in the fall. It's so brand new. I literally don't even have a name, so I can't actually talk about it. But I'm still finishing up open source, which is essentially a 50 episode block about technology. So I start my final day of shooting is 2 days from now, which will be Monday, and then we'll still have 3-4 months of episodes to roll out. But I am actively working on and developing and actually shooting as of early June a new television series. But I can't announce it yet.
Of course.
But that's the next thing. And then I have another feature that I'm developing. I have a business partner, Megan Larson. We write stuff together. We do stuff together, and we have many many different features that we can do whenever we want. And I know you know Megan.
I love
Um,
Megan. She's a great person, really
she,
fun.
she's also like a genius and a prodigy, and
Oh, it shows. Like the times I've had conversations with her, she's just so on the ball, and I could totally see why you like working with her.
she's much younger than I am, but it doesn't matter. Like we have this expression that we share a brain. So we're
That's
we're
what you
always
want in a business partner.
yeah, yeah. So we'll literally tell each other all the time, hey, can I borrow the brain tonight? But it's just like finish each other's sentences kind of thing and it's crazy, you know. It's I've never met anyone where we just were so in sync and we made each other's work better. So yeah, we're trying to figure that out. To be honest, it's just I keep shooting all these TV shows, which is good. But we're trying to figure out, okay, when's the smartest time for us to make our first feature together?
Yeah. Well, best
Yeah.
of luck. I can't wait to see what comes out of that. Um, I honestly just really like everything I've been seeing from you. You seem like you just really put yourself out there with a lot of integrity, which it's just great to see in this business because frankly, it's kind of rare.
Oh, well, thank you, brother. That's to be honest, like that is my entire mission. I mean, obviously, you know, I want to be as successful as I can be, but I just think there's no amount of money, there's no award, there's no amount of press that's worth compromising your integrity. That's what I believe. And so my that's my mission. And so all the other stuff is a bonus. If I come from a place of integrity and I make the work I want, I'm successful. That's how I think.
I really like that. And I think that's what a lot of us try to do, but it's just nice to see when people really make it their brand and can be successful doing that. Because, like, there's so many people that really try to sell that whole you have to be cutthroat all the time if you want to get anywhere, especially in Hollywood. And frankly, that usually blows up in your face worse than anything else. You have to know how to defend yourself, but that doesn't mean you have to be an asshole all the time either.
There's definitely, I will say, as a Canadian and you know, a veteran of the business, uh, I've been based in LA now for 4 years. Look, I've met some. I mean, you're a great guy. You know, I've met
Thank
some
you.
really, really incredible people in LA, really brilliant artists. But there's a large percentage of just, I don't know, ambitious scumbags, just like cutthroat zombies. And
Oh,
I just think, and I've never encountered that. It's not like there aren't some people like that in Canada, but it's kind of rare. But in LA, there's so many people who I swear to God, they would sell out their own mother just to get some kind of deal at a streamer. And I guess for me, I just think, is this worth it? To
no.
even to be in this mentality where you're trying to destroy everyone. Why? So you can what, win an Oscar or get like what are you trying? I don't understand what they're trying to accomplish. Like I don't get it.
I don't fully either. I'll be straight up. I came up in the LA scene, so I get the LA scene insofar as I understand how to work with LA people.
Right.
But there are a couple of key mentalities that exist there. I like to work with artists, and like there's
Mm.
this really cool kind of like post-punk, it's about the art scene in LA that if you find those people, they're amazing. It's really about the art first. They know how to stand up for themselves, but they're really there to just try to make something cool,
Right.
and they're great people. There's also the business first people that like it's only about the business, no art involved whatsoever. And they can
Mm.
be fine to work with, but like they come at things from a very different perspective and you have to know how to talk to them.
Mm.
And then there are the people you're talking about.
Right.
And
Right.
oh my God, you have to be careful about them because there are so many of them. They are so
Mhm.
predatory. And frankly, if you're working crew or just a working professional in LA, you are going to eventually deal with some of them, and they're really good at hiding who they are until you've signed a contract. And then
Oh.
you really have to know how to stand. It's why I always say LA crew is the most talented in the world, but if you want to survive in LA, you have to understand your rights and you have to understand how to stand up for yourself. And it's because there's people like that. And if you don't know how to stand up for yourself, you get railroaded, and eventually you end up homeless, not able to feed yourself because you didn't get paid for a job that was 3 months long.
Oh yeah. I mean, look, I've spent limited time in LA. But I know quite a few people, hundreds of people, thousands of people in LA. You know, I have my O1 visa, like I can work in LA anytime. But it's just there's just so many people like that, and you know, I'm blessed to. I'm starring in you know like over 100 episodes of television in Canada. You know, it's like I'm in a good place, right? But for me, I just think, okay, but again, my whole thing is about energy, right?
Yeah,
So I'm just like. I don't want to give my energy to something where people are constantly angling or trying to take me down or
it's
it's
exhausting. It's utterly exhausting and not
right.
worth it.
And look, I'm not pretending to know everything about LA and Hollywood. I'm sort of new there, but I'm not new to the craft and I'm not new to making movies and television series. So for me, I protect my energy at all costs. If I can find people like you, let's do stuff. And I mean, we already are. We've been having
Oh,
conversations. So
yeah.
I mean, that's a given, right? But there's just so many people who I just thought we were so close, and then as I least expect it, stab in the back, stab in the back, stab in the back, and I'm like, what do you get out of this?
Absolutely. I have seen people also like out of pure pettiness stab someone in the back and blow
Mhm.
up sometimes like a multi-million-dollar deal just because their ego got hurt at the wrong time.
Wow.
And like it's common in LA. It's just because there's so much ego there and
Mm,
there's so much about like just this play acting at being the big man on campus, big person on campus. And it can get really, really toxic really, really fast. And you kind of just have to learn how to navigate it
mm,
because the business and the art in LA are so intermingled in this kind of weird way that dates back to, I mean, films are being made there since the 1920s.
mm,
We had union riots where people were throwing bricks and pipes at each other. We fought tooth and nail for every single game on either side of the line. Like there is literal wars that have been fought in that city over art, and it's never ending, and it's never going to end. And I hope it never ends because that's kind of part of the magic. If you learn how to survive in it and you can work with the people, there's just this certain effervescence to the LA scene that like nothing else touches. I've worked a lot of other places, and frankly, I would choose an LA crew every time if I could. And there's a lot of reasons you can't. Like, there's money involved. There's always reasons why things shoot other places, and I love shooting other places. I'm not trying to say there's anything wrong with other spots, but
mm,
there's this magic to shooting with an LA crew in LA, to making something in this city where so many magical things have happened that
mm,
like it kind of makes the fight worth it when it becomes worth it. And like
mm.
that's my romantic coming out at this point.
Oh no, I love it. Look, Los Angeles to me is an exercise in contradictions because like it really is this sort of like cutthroat um, epicenter of ambition, but at the same time, the amount of respect, love, passion for movies, television, storytelling, like the Academy Museum.
I think Academy Museum's great.
It's
I love going there.
there's so many places in Los Angeles. I probably spent about 8 months, 9 months there, and there's such a love and respect for the art form that I just see all these people fighting, and I go, why can't you fight together to make the best work possible, as opposed to trying to outshine everybody else? It's all the conditions are there to like, and again, when it works, it's like it's the best work ever made.
Yes,
But
every time.
there's so many people I think that are just kind of like they're like working against each other as opposed to working together in the same direction. To me, that's the shift that's needed, you know?
I actually 100% agree with you, and I'm really hoping because we've had like 3 terrible years in LA, but everything post-COVID, post-strikes, just never really came back the way we thought it was going to. And my sincere hope, and there's a lot of like political movement going on, moves to try to make shooting come back there, all different things I've talked about on this channel some. And the thing is, I'm really, really hopeful that what ends up coming out of this is the people that are still left that manage to hold on, everyone just kind of so wants to work, so wants to just make this thing happen that we start seeing some real magic come out of it again. Because I think we could. I think we absolutely could see some just utter magic in the next few years. And we could see the industry completely change if everyone got on the same page and stopped fighting so much. And it's been a problem for so long there.
Oh yeah. Look, the thing about LA is to be honest, some of the like which I can't really talk about publicly. Some of the worst things I've ever experienced have happened to me in LA,
Oh God, yes.
but also the most magical experiences of my entire life have happened in LA.
Yeah, and sometimes within the course of like a half hour, those two
Right,
things can
right,
happen.
right,
Yeah.
right. And I talk to you about these things, and then I feel less alone, but then it's also like, oh, it's just this is LA.
That
Like
is
this is
that is just LA. That is the thing.
right, right, right. So I don't know. I mean, it's like I love LA and I hate LA, but and I'm in awe of LA, and I don't know. But all I know is LA is part of me, man. LA is my second home.
Yeah.
and so is Toronto. And I just make art wherever I can, man. That's all I'm doing.
No, and I feel the same way. And honestly, I feel like Canada has potential to have some really cool stuff happen in the next few years too. I've been seeing all sorts of interesting things coming out of Vancouver and Toronto both. Like I know some people that are doing some cool shit up there, and I feel like a lot of the old hubs are really trying to pull things back from, Hungary and all of these European countries that have been giving huge tax cuts. And I'm I'm excited for the potential out of all of that. I'm terrified, but I'm also like really excited for what could come out of the next few years.
Look, one thing I do know, being in this business for so long, our art will never die.
No,
It changes all the time, and this trend and that thing, and this person hates this person, that. But at the end of the day, this is, the oldest form of storytelling, right? This is an art of just people telling stories to each other like we did in the caveman days, and it's never going to stop.
no,
So
it just changes over time. People were terrified when cable came around. They thought that streaming was gonna destroy everything. It kind of did, but at the same time, it's just turning into cable all over again. Everything's cyclical. Everything changes. People get bored. They want to go back and feel nostalgic about the theater again, so they go back to the theater. It's it's just change. It's all change, and it's weathering the storm until it comes to a place that it's good again.
all I do, it's very simple. I try and be the best person I can be every single day, and I work hard as I can on every single project. That's it. There's nothing else to what I'm doing. And I make lots of mistakes, and sometimes people see it, and sometimes they don't. But I start from scratch every single day. I have a long resume, but in my mind, I don't have any resume. It's like I'm working on what's in front of me, and I'm trying to present the best version of myself in every moment. That's all I can do. I don't know how to do anything else, and that's all I think about.
I really love that, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, and best of luck with everything you have coming up. And I hope for nothing but the best for you in the next few years.
Same, brother. I appreciate you. I'm happy to, share it on my socials and everything. And I think this is going to do really well for you. You're really, really good at this, and I think you're going to attract like really, really good people.
Oh, thank you.